Very good evening, everybody. And wow moment, such a fantastic panel, right, from academia, a partner, Australia, trade, right, we have DST, and we have Mr. Habil, right, and today we are going to really discuss on this topic, which is primarily the mission statement of Aegis Graham Bell Award. And since morning we have been talking about innovation, innovation, and innovation. So the topic is, how do we really transform India into innovation economy? Enough of singing this song of service economy and knowledge economy. It's not that I am against that, but I think now we have to really evolve beyond the service economy, evolve beyond setting up the call centers and outsourcing stuff. And we need to really generate our own knowledge. We need to really develop some innovation and export it to outside. We can't really afford to miss deep sea kind of a moment, despite of the fact that India has the second largest number of data scientists and AI engineers. Why still we are talking about building up systems based on the ChatGPT. So this whole panel discussion will delve deeper into the various aspects. Unfortunately, we have a very short time of 45 minutes. So we'll discuss about why we are talking about innovation economy. That's number one fundamental question. Second, we'll discuss about innovation ecosystem, R&D budgets, policies, right? And the human capital and research, which is the most important thing. And we have Dr. Sahasrabudhe, we have Dr. Rajul, right? Funding, risk capital, and we have a lot of investors evaluating companies. And of course, finally, the future vision, right? Not necessarily will follow the same order. This is a free-flowing panel discussion. To begin with the first question, Habil sir, I would request you, since you have been investing money in R&D, right? And India has been criticized that we spend hardly 0.7% of our R&D budget here as compared to US, which is 3.5%, China is almost 3%. And investment will even take a lot of time, right? How's your experience? Why we need to really move towards innovation economy, and what are the gaps? Would you like to really address?
Very good afternoon to all of you. I must say I have been a bit lucky to belong to an industry which today spends 10 times what India spends. As the industry, pharmaceutical industry spends something like 6-7% of revenue on research R&D, and this has been there for a long time. As a company, we are also, in addition to technology, which most companies are there, very few are in fundamental research. But we have been involved for the last 25 years in finding new drugs. And we have been spending for maybe more than 10-15 years, something of the order of 12 to 14% per year of the revenue. So from that context, I think we are an exception to the rule here in India.
No, that doesn't even
the important fundamental thing is that our industry has been spending on technology very significantly. And that is how we have become a major supplier of affordable medicine worldwide. Like, for example, AIDS, which has come under control over the years, is mainly because we were able to supply a drug at $1 per day versus $100 a day, which was the cost. So that is where we supplied in Africa and other countries, and today you don't hear about those drugs. COVID vaccine, I think India is a unique situation where 1 billion plus people got vaccinated in time twice. You can understand catastrophe if we didn't have the vaccine. Because we have a company in UK, and we manufactured vaccine, which was, we were filling the vaccine, not making it, for Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. And we were the only ones supplying to the government. And first 2 doses of vaccine delivered in UK came from our facility. And they were not getting, because they had just exited, the Brexit had happened, and European capacity was earmarked for the, it was a European company, you know that. So they were not, if without that, they would be without vaccine for 4 to 6 months. So that is the kind of a role our industry has played. So to create approach of research and innovation, it's only competitive forces can drive in other industries. I do not know much about it. But we have a very large service industry in IT, for example. And new AI, people have spent billions of dollars, companies have become trillions of dollars worth. And you have a Chinese guy who was going bankrupt at $6 million, he has developed an IT AI platform, which they say it may not be as good, but if it is 10, this is 9. Now,
no, but in your experience, sir, sorry to cut you, but in your experience, what do you think, because you're pioneer in R&D, you have been discovering drugs, which is a long shot, it takes years. What lesson you can really give to IT industry and other industry which actually work on very short-term basis? I invest 1 rupee today, I want 2 rupee tomorrow, right? This mindset can't really build R&D or innovation. It's a long shot. This is moving into a dark age. Very briefly, if you can really answer.
I honestly can't answer
Yeah.
for
Your
other
experience, your industry.
Because I have no idea of the dynamics of the other industry.
Your industry.
In our industry, I think people have tried, but to find a new drug in a competitive sense where big pharma invests billions of dollars, and still you have a drug which is better than them. And that's why we went into a space like antibiotic, where big pharma 30 years back also research-wise they were coming down. And we predicted the need for antibiotic would be there because organism develop resistance, and that is what is happening today. And that is how we succeeded. So you have to probably strategically find out a space for yourself. You can't just go head on and do the same thing which everybody is doing. So one of the important aspects of research and drug discovery or anything you want to do differently is to find a unique space where you can be competitive. Just spending money is not going to get you anywhere. So unless you identify your space, so it is quite possible 10 companies can identify space, couple of them may succeed, others may not succeed, but that's a part of the game.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. So, Dr. Sahasrabudhe, now you brought a lot of changes in education. Now, the question over to you, why innovation economy? Why we started talking about the innovation economy? Why aren't you happy with the service and knowledge economy?
In the knowledge economy, without innovation, we cannot proceed forward.
Right.
And that is the story of whether it is South Korea, US or Japan or each one of them. On one side, research and development is certainly important, but nevertheless, tweaking with the solutions already existing, improvising on them, creating more efficient products is all what innovation takes care of. And for that, that culture of innovation has to be built into the entire ecosystem, starting from schools, colleges, universities, industries, government, all of them. They are all responsible for that. And that's why quite often we have been talking about our basic thing, which is examinations. In the school examination to higher education, that is KG to PG, most of the questions asked are based on rote learning. And if someone innovates and writes an answer slightly different from what is given in the textbook, reference book, or the class notes given by the teacher, many times teachers don't even respect that answer and then give less marks. How can innovation develop? So that is number one. Secondly, the attempt that is being made by a couple of agencies in India, starting from MeitY, starting with tinkering labs in more than 10,000 schools right now, expanding it to about 50,000 schools. That is the part which they are going to play. AICT started its innovation councils in each college and university. Now there are more than 13,000 of them. We started Smart India Hackathon, giving challenging problem statements to students, asking them to solve them out of the box. All of this has catapulted already India from 81st position in Innovation Index 9 years back to 39th position. This itself shows there is already work in progress. Nevertheless, our opportunity, our capability, capacity is much higher than what it is. So if there is sufficient funding, be from industry, be from the government, certainly we will be able to achieve even far higher goals that we have set in ourselves. That is simply the answer for this.
No, you hit on the nail, right? So if the culture mindset need to really change, right? The kind of conversation we have, that need to really change. The kind of questions we want to really ask, that need to be changed. And I think I'm glad that NEP has brought this, and you're heading this NAAC and NBA, which is trying to really measure the outcome. We'll come back on that, sir. So Vic, over to you. Like, Australia is also leading into the innovation, right? And since you partner with this award as well, what India can really learn, and at the same time you're Indian, right? So what India can really learn from Australia in terms of really, how do we really build the culture for the innovation? And what are the gaps in India?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Firstly, thank you for having me over here. And it's, you know, it feels like a bit of a blast from the past because we've just met recently and we've been on panels recently and talking about various things that we're talking about today. So I think firstly, let me be very clear. It's not about what India can learn from Australia. It's what Australia can learn from India as well. So it's partnering for prosperity is kind of, I guess, what we are looking for. You know, India is a natural partner of choice, you know, for Australia, whether that is in the sector I lead, which is our education interests in the region, whether that is in technology, whether that is in agribusiness, healthcare, you know, and various other kind of fields. I think, you know, and I was going to borrow a few things. I was really pleased to have you here today, sir, because I was going to borrow a few things we discussed about last time, which was innovation is already happening. So I'm not sure whether it is the one or the other. Does it have to be an innovation economy versus a knowledge economy versus something else? Yeah. So it's already happening, and the cross-pollination is what I'm really seeing in India at the moment. There are some things which, you know, we do really well, for example, in Australia. So we've got a terrific vocational system, for example. Now, vocational has a different connotation in India at the moment. It's changing, but there's a lot happening in that space, and I'm sure Dr. Rajul's got some wonderful information to share with us on that. But what we are seeing is this partnership extend beyond just, you know, I guess academia. For example, we were on this panel last time, you know, a few weeks ago, and we were talking about India as a skilling capital, and that skills conversation went quite quickly into education. So it's that cross-pollination and making sure that you're talking about these things early. We, for example, have companies in Australia that are looking at training, you know, students in Tamil Nadu on quantum. So that quantum training is a 5-6 hour quantum package, but that's being rolled out into every single college in Tamil Nadu. So I think there's things that we are seeing where Australia and India can partner together and actually sell to the world rather than India learning from Australia or Australia learning from India.
No. Thank you for correcting me. So the whole idea that the partnership which we have with Austrade, the idea that Indian startup companies can really get the outreach opportunity with this partnership. This will be the bridge, and likewise the Australian startup companies, universities can really come to India. And we have seen that thought leaders in Australian universities greatly contributed in evaluating a lot of innovations over here. So, and while we were having the conversation and backdoor, right, so Habil sir, you pointed out that yes, if you have to really build the innovation system, you need to really partner with a lot of universities, and I'll come back to you and you can really throw light on that. So yes, those kind of opportunities can really fuel innovation. Dr. Ekta, now, so the government actually always comes on the criticism, and the government is also catalyst, right? So the way innovation is happening in China is primarily fueled by the government money, right? A lot of American researchers, European researchers, they are flocking to China, right? It's not only Chinese guys, those who have done the innovation, right? They are attracting innovators and they're pumping money. America did it long back, and they are still reaping the dividends. Is India opening to these kind of idea, which we see a lot of policy changes, a lot of missions, right? So would you like to throw some light on that?
Yes, of course. Very good afternoon, and thanks for having me here. It's a great opportunity. With the leaders sitting, next to us, we are actually learning day in, day out with the mentors that we have on stage. Dr. Sahasrabudhe he's been my role model, and I must say, we have learned a lot right from, he said, KG to PG. So, throughout our journey, we look on to these leaders who have been, teaching not only the students, but also professionals, people working in the industry, people working in the government. I would like to answer your question by saying that yes, the government has initiated a number of missions to take up the lead and to set up India as a global leader for innovation. The requirement was, for sure, Dr. Sahasrabudhe already mentioned, we are no less than any other economy, and we identified that the two national missions which were initiated by the Department of Science and Technology are the National Mission on Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical Systems and the National Quantum Mission. The Cyber Physical Systems mission was launched in 2018 for a period of 9 years. The mission has completed 6 years of its journey, and now we are, we can say that the fruits are really coming on. The mission basically works on the mission has created 25 technology innovation hubs, which we call that the mission hubs, and it's a right model for government, academia, and industry to work together. Because these mission hubs have been established in 25 academic institutions of repute all across India, and they cover various IITs, ICERs, IASC, and some of the triple ITs. So what these hubs are actually, they are Section 8 companies, which are not-for-profit companies, which gives them a lot of autonomy to carry out their activities under 4 major pillars. These pillars include technology development, entrepreneurship and skill development, and finally, international collaborations as well for our researchers to work hand in hand with the international people working in the same area. So the success of the mission can be seen from the fact that we have been able to create more than 600 technologies and technology products in various cyber physical systems to cover cyber security, to cover AI and ML, to cover robotics, cobotics, and even quantum technologies. Coming to the next mission, that's the initiative of the department, is the National Quantum Mission, where again we have set up not 25, but we have set up 4 technology hubs. We call them the thematic hubs. And these 4 belong to the 4 areas of quantum research, including quantum computing, quantum communications, quantum sensing, and quantum materials and devices. And these 4 hubs will again work on the area of entrepreneurship development and technology development, again giving a great boost to the innovation carried out across. Apart from these activities, we have the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which is again, it is budded out of the national education policy, and we have been working to create an ecosystem where the research gets a boost by a robust public-private partnership. So with this PPP model, I think we need investments not only from the government, we need investments from the industry. We want the research to grow in a robust ecosystem in that way. Last, I would also like to say that there is the India AI mission, which has again been launched by the government through the Ministry of Electronics and IT. And the India AI mission is going to work in the area of, AI in all stages to develop technologies, to develop large language models. Under the cyber physical systems, we have also initiated the Bharat Gen project, which is to bring India at par with, having a great LLM model being built up, keeping in view our linguistic and cultural diversity. Thank you.
Wonderful initiative. Like in fact, this Bharat Jain IIT Bombay has released first version, right? And I recall my conversation with you and Dr. Abhay, and thank you so much for supporting in this initiative. And that's where I asked Dr. Abhay that you're also teacher, and why Indians are able to innovate when they go to the West. And this whole ChatGPT was built on the research paper which was written by Ashish Vaswani, Indian guy, right? And who built the ChatGPT? Ilya, who the Jeffrey Hinton's student, right? Why can't they write the research paper, and why can't we really build the product? Every innovation which happens in the West is an Indian insight, it's an Intel insight kind of phenomena. So over to you, Dr. Rajul, that what do you think, why we do well outside? Why can't we really do breakthrough innovative products? We can really build e-commerce companies which are copycat of the Western model. There's no innovation, right? Unfortunately, I have no doubt against. They're doing good business, but breakthrough innovation can only leapfrog us and put into the position of the developed country. Why we can't really do that?
So I'll pick up from what Dr. Sahasrabudhe also mentioned. It starts very early on, the entire mindset, the attitudes that our young little school children need help to get imbibed into. A child, when initially they go to school, all of us can observe the kind of curiosity that they hold on to. And systematically, somewhere down the line, our education system kills that curiosity. By the time they end up in the higher education system, they are already programmed, compartmentalized. But it is changing. It is changing to a level which I had also, many of us discussed that, had not expected to happen so fast. Call it NEP, call it the entire innovation drive that came out of many such corners, AICT being one of them, and the ministries. So what is happening now is that all of a sudden the faculty is now confused. Bhai, isko attendance ginna hai ki nahi ginna hai? So it's a beautiful ecosystem that's coming out. Ultimately what is happening is that the student is now at the center, and therefore they are being given all these tools, all the freedom, the security within the four walls of every small institute. It's a beautiful scenario which I am looking throughout in the country, moving to many states and sharing. So many of us today also have been sharing, is about how the students are being empowered in the sense that they can learn from their failures. जो सबसे हमारी education system, call it Macaulay, call it the British system, whatever it was, कि ये pass, ये fail, ये वो टूट गया है. So I look at the innovation ecosystem in terms of not just creating the entrepreneurs or the unicorns. I am looking at that entire system as giving the power to the student to learn hands-on, project based, सब terminology पूरी बहुत आ चुकी है, innovation को ही पकड़ते रहते हैं. Very early on उसको second semester, third semester से उसके ideas, उसके जो पहले कहा जाता था wild ideas, वो उसको freedom वो मिल रही है. And that is where through the first of all, what is killed is that fear of failure. And that is where they can tinker, they can look at solutions, they are going back. एक पूरा phase था जहाँ पे इतना rote learning हो रहा था, basic principles तो क्या वो exam ऐसे कैसे pass कर देते. So now they are, like when things don't work, so what is the principle behind it? Not necessarily they need teachers, but they need labs. They need all the equipment कि ये कैसे, ये क्यों नहीं work कर रहा है. And come NEP, we have also given them the flexibility of time. There is no need to be stuck on to कि ये project अभी छोड़ दो नहीं तो मेरा exam चला जाएगा, मेरा ये चला जाएगा. So I see a lot of value coming out very soon in the very near future, and maybe 2 years down the line we can meet up again and say, oh, what happened? Now they are all innovating and they are bringing out some really good stuff out of this whole system. Another important change that, thanks to you, madam, what you mentioned was, it's not just the innovation ecosystem, but it also needs to get these students, the faculty also grounded into research. That system just did not exist. आपको पब्लिश करना है वो भी एक मैंडेट नहीं था, रिसर्च की बात तो आगे जाने दो, तो आप पेटेंट्स पे जा रहे हैं अब. इट्स नॉट जस्ट द स्टूडेंट्स, इट्स द मेंटर्स, द फैकल्टी. तो पेटेंट किया, पेटेंट ग्रांटेड, इट वाज अनहर्ड ऑफ. बहुत पहले, सालों पहले वर्ल्ड बैंक के प्रोजेक्ट आते थे तो उसमें आता था एक पैरामीटर, एंड आई वाज सेइंग व्हाट वो अपना सिस्टम, बट इट इज हैपनिंग. सो the entire grounding into deep research, the insights into going into depth of very, very specific problems is taking shape, and that itself, and that is happening at the faculty level. It will percolate down to the students. It will go down to the classrooms. The industry is playing a huge role. They are coming forward. They don't want to invest into very specific R&D labs, but we are the labs. So starting innovation, learning to tinker, not being afraid of failures, coming out with some really beautiful, बहुत अगली लगता है वो POC देखते हैं तो उसको फिर हम बुलाते हैं कि भाई वो NID वाला आ जाओ, डिज़ाइन वाला आ जाओ, कुछ इसको सिखाओ अच्छा सा कैसे ये एप्पल जैसा बनाना है आपको. तो ये सिस्टम बहुत इंटीग्रेट होती जा रही है यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में, and we'll be able to see the outcomes very soon.
These small changes, and I think we have started seeing the results, right? In the morning, we awarded a scholarship to 2 kids. And while I was evaluating, these 2 kids did amazing job. They build a app, one guy built a Crushy app, one guy built learning app with agents. This is amazing. And one guy is studying in IIM Ranchi, the other guy is studying in one Indian college, I forgot the name. But they are doing amazing work. While last month I met one of my schoolmates who's based out of Singapore, and he opened my eyes, right? His kid is in 10th class and he wrote research paper on machine learning, which a lot of even IIT students will not be able to read, right? In 10th class. And I was shocked. I said, how is it possible? Because this kind of research paper, school kids, the BTech guys, we have rolled out AI and other stuff. It's not possible. Yeah, but the 2 sides. One, yes, results are visible. These small changes which we made, major changes we made in the education, is bringing the result. But still, there is a huge gap what developed countries are actually doing, and there is a race, right? Because one view says that AI is going to generate the job, the other view says it is going to really kill the job, and specifically any job which is related to with the knowledge or repeated stuff. Now, so my question to over with you, right, very briefly, that how Australia is building the system for innovation economy, how is Australia is gearing up, with what kind of disruption AI is going to really bring, which is one side, but there are a lot of other areas as well.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I think just talking more broadly about the bilateral relationship with India as well, and how we're trying to do that together. So it starts at, and everyone's been talking about the, UG2 or, right from the beginning, right to postgraduate. But if you see what we've got in Australia, so at the very kind of high end, we've got a lot of cooperative research centers and so forth that are linked to our universities. There's a lot of research that comes out of that. The reason why we look at India for a lot of our kind of partnerships is because India offers a scale to help validate that research quite quickly. But then we've also got, I guess, various initiatives that we run at the grassroots level as well. So one of the programs that Austrade has been running is called the Australia-India Innovation Network. So for us, I think we're very cognizant of the fact that we've got some wonderful research, some wonderful innovation coming out, but we don't have scale. If you see India, there are more students, the number of students that are studying year 9 in India is more than the population of Australia. So what we don't have is scale, so that's why we look at those partnerships. So the Innovation Network looks to see how we can really cross-pollinate and kind of make sure that Australian startups are actually collaborating with Indian startups. How can we start to do more in that innovation space? There's a program that goes even before that, which is what we call the RISE Accelerator. Now, the RISE Accelerator is a government-to-government program that's looking at very early stage innovation coming out of India. So 8 companies from India, 8 companies from Australia every year work on joint, activities and try and get to market. There's a lot that we're doing in that space, and I think for us, it's about finding, that scale in India to be able to build together. For example, what we are doing in the cybersecurity space is what we're implementing in, everything in fintech over here. So when you look at AI, yes, we've got a lot of innovation coming out of AI, but it's not just the one thing that we'll be able to do by ourselves. It's partnering with, India and other like-minded countries to be able to then take that further to the world.
Fantastic, very true. So, Dr. Habil, coming back to you. So, if you see the data, major investment is still, so although R&D investment in India is very low, which is roughly around 0.7%, but out of that investment, 30% only comes from the private enterprise, 70% comes from the government. While in the US, it's roughly around 70% by the private enterprise and 30% from the government, which is a huge, and you have been investing a lot in R&D, right? And how can we increase the R&D expenditure? How can we really promote? What kind of policy changes? What's your experience? It's an open-ended question, sir.
First, let us recognize that we are in 21st century. And what worked in 20th century is unlikely to work in 21st century. With this basic assumption, the kind of way the Western countries have innovated, or the innovation model and a research model, is not the only model. And I strongly feel that we should not follow that model, because it has to be reimagined as a new innovation model. And I think one of the India's strength in terms of education, things are changing, technology changing, our economy is growing, there is a lot of resources available even in the private sector. So there is frugal innovation. And that is where we don't have to, if we follow that, we will never able to catch up. Because we don't have amount of resources available in the West today. So we have to rethink the way we innovate. I'll just give you our example. Over 25 years, our company spent $500 million on research to find new drugs. But 500 million looks big. But to get 6 drugs in a globally competitive space, any big pharma today spends $10 to $12 million per year. And they rarely find out of their lab a single drug in a year. So I think we have to think in a very different manner to innovate and not really look at it and try to do that. And it is possible in many areas. I'll give you 1 or 2 other examples, a national example. Look at our space research. Today, space research were getting funded, not funded, again getting funded, okay, over the years. But 2 things have happened, if you have noticed, even atomic energy, but let's talk of space research. It has always been remained with the Prime Minister, structurally. So therefore, a kind of leadership available was the highest political leadership throughout. So they got the resources, they got the freedom, and they attracted the best scientists. So today, where we are, amount of money we have spent, compared to the space program the US spends or other countries are spends, we are far ahead if you look at it for every rupee or dollar spent and what we have achieved. We can put a satellite at a fraction of a cost than the Western do it. So that is what India's strength going to be. Okay, we must allow to cultivate very small groups of people and provide them degree of freedom, degree of research, resources, and it will flower. So I'm not going by the percentage of money you spend, but the thought is that if we create an ecosystem, which I think education is one part of it, industry supporting that is second part of it. Now Indian organization in terms of sheer size is becoming competitively global, which we were never there for 20 years back. We were nobody. Now you have organized, just to get you in IT service area, you feel there is no innovation. Let me put another numbers to see today, IBM everyone knows over the years, they were the leaders. Do you know today, TCS and Infosys have a larger market cap than IBM? So the question is, what we have, we can build on our strength. And within that strength, you innovate. Why we have become so big in the service sector? Because our people, not only people cost is there, but managing organization with 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 people is also a part of management. And that is also equally important. Why some of the big guys do a back room work here? You take any large company like Unilever or in our industry, Novartis or Pfizer, they have 50,000, 30,000 people doing the backroom work in India, because that is our strength. And we must build on our strength rather than every time saying we spend less on research. So wherever we have the strength, we must build on it. So these are coming out of smaller innovation of management, you may say. May not be the research, of managing things effectively at a cost-effective manner. And if we have to remain competitive in this space, because our wages are going to go up, economy goes up, all these things happen. What China has done that basically to some extent. So my view is basically we must build up ecosystem, innovation will come. Now whether government spends more money or private sector more money, you have to ask at the end of the day, excepting few government institutions like Atomic Energy Space, they produce great results. Which other very few government institutes have produced any tangible result. So money spent is not the issue. It is what you get at the end of the day with the money you spend.
No, so you rightly said, and I really like this whole thing, that the building up innovation ecosystem, we need to innovate the model, right? And we need to really do the optimization in the costs, and we need to really focus on our strength. I think these are some wisdom which we can really learn from your initiative in running such a large R&D budget. No, thank you so much. Now, but it's still like, so I could really see since morning we were seeing, and we will have the award in from 4 o'clock. There are a lot of innovation which is coming from the startup and even large companies, which if you essentially have to really do in any Western world, this will really cost 100 times more, and that's the reason GCCs are flocking in Bangalore and Mumbai and Pune and Gurgaon. So yes, we are perhaps in the right direction, right? What more we can really do, Dr. Sahasrabudhe, to really accelerate this whole pace, right? And of course, we have solid knowledge economy, we are changing on that. How we can really accelerate this whole process?
One of the key issues which are having a problem in our country is less collaborations. Yes. I think that is one area where we start working, probably many good things will happen. Ekta rightly pointed out some of the grand missions taken up by the Government of India. There is a semiconductor mission. We missed the semiconductor bus. Now we are catching up that bus again. I think that is one area. Secondly, we talked about AI. There are 3 centers of excellence of AI for agriculture in IIT Ropar, for sustainable cities in IIT Kanpur, and for healthcare, both jointly by IIT Delhi and AIIMS. I think these are 3 very important domains and areas where lots of applications, both for our country as well as the whole world, is going to come out. And so this has just started few months back. So I think we will get the results couple of years down the line. Also this year's budget, there was a Center of Excellence of AI in education itself. And I think all of these are going to catapult in a big way in variety of ways. You talked about startups. Just about 10 years ago, we didn't even have 400 registered startups. Today it is 1,40,000 plus startups, several unicorns, more than 115 or so. So I think, and the second part, in your own award function, there were 3 finalists, and there were big companies in that, but the winners were all small ones. So I think there is a big innovation movement which is under the surface happening, and the results will come out in a few years down the line. But we should not rest ourselves. You talked about frugal innovation, and we had more than 25 years ago started what is known as National Innovation Foundation for grassroots innovations. And all those who do not have formal education have been doing pretty well. More than 700 patents are filed in the last around 15 years. So we have all the capability, DNA in our system to innovate. Only little more push is required. So let us do that and then achieve the target. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So while we have a lot of focus on primarily on deep tech and AI, still we are forgetting some of the areas, and we have considered that these are the evils will die along, which is like a pollution in Delhi, the horribly bad roads, right, and millions people die. We don't have toilets, we build the toilet, but there is no water. Can't we really innovate in terms of really toilets which will not really require water, right? So I think India need to really launch those kind of challenges, and today we have also launched one of the challenge, right, which will really bring the solutions from the grassroots and bring a lot of those changes, because all the innovation, because most of the time I hear that most of the innovation budget goes to typically IITs. I don't know whether it is just the safe bet or just because of the IIT competency or other institutions are not competent. And if we really don't fund them, they will remain always incompetent, right? Because they also need the money, and that's where the risk capital money comes into the picture. VCs, they have to really take the return, and they can't really put into the very long-term ventures which will take 10 years or 15 years. They will put in the money wherein they can really exit within the 5 years, and 5 years no reasonable research can really come up in 2 years or 3 years. And that's where I think government need to really pump in the money, and that kind of model will really remain. So my question, why we have so much over obsession with IITs? Why don't really fund some schools in the villages, and they will be able to innovate, right? Not IITs or somebody else, or even some private colleges. If any of you want to really take that question.
In fact, I was going to mention that from what Dr. Ekta had mentioned. So basically, just as the example that I gave for the kids, for the college kids, for the school kids to be allowed to try and fail. Similarly, so I'll start with another example. Take the entire example of Chandrayaan-3. And we have SAC ISRO in Ahmedabad, a good friend of the director. So I asked him that, and they played a big role in the entire, and it has been played from across the country. There was a lot of collaboration that happened. So I just asked him if he could tell me certain percentage of how many IITians and how many from non-IITians from universities. Not a single IITian on the entire Chandrayaan-3 mission. That is the level of expertise that has come from our universities. On the other hand, the funding also needs to be innovated. You need to give trials, let the universities fail, but there is, for example, let me give an example, and that is the case with most of the technological universities. We have an outreach in the entire state. We have divided them into zones, into regions. So we have an outreach to the last mile, to the most rural student. I know what is happening in that corner, but I don't have the kind of fund that I can extend to them. So therefore, there is a need whereby even the funding agencies, the funding patterns get innovated and start taking trials. Beautiful ecosystem is going to come out of that. Call it AI, call it quantum, call it agro, call it defense. Very true, yes.
And let's take, like, if I go to various engineering colleges and you're heading the engineering college, you have dealt the whole life with engineering college. This is quite disturbing that while IT brought a lot of revenue to India, but IT has killed civil, mechanical,
Oh, yes.
all fundamental science, all fundamental engineering, and building up a hardware system in India is extremely difficult. You can build a software in maybe 2 days, but now ChatGPT will kill that as well, right? ChatGPT can really write a very complicated piece of code. You say, okay, write me code to detect the face, and it will take fraction of second to really do that, which used to take months and months. But AI can't really do any mechanical engineering innovation. It can't really build a new material and build a robust road, right? And so I think how we can really bring back our focus on fundamental sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics, because the whole this AI is mathematics underlying. If you don't understand the mathematics, you don't really understand. On other side, let's example economics. We have been following, and I am taking a cue from you, we have been following the Western economic model of the growth, which has completely failed. And there has not been a single innovation, even economic model of development in last 100 years. And this current economic model has brought us to this level where maybe we will lose the earth in a couple of years if this is the way we consume. So anybody want to really take and respond to this question?
If I can just say, as an outsider looking in, so absolutely, I left India 25 years ago, come back again now in a different capacity as Trade Commissioner for a 3-year period. Looking in from the outside, I think I see a lot of innovation. I see a lot of positive kind of steps by the government. If you see in the education space that we're leading, some fantastic discussions, from talking about credit banks through to stackable degrees and so forth. Some of the conversations that we're having with the Indian government and the Indian ecosystem are just phenomenal. So, we've got, those traditional partnerships with the IIT Delhi UQ partnership. We've got one in IIT with IIT Bombay and Monash University. But then, the NEP, which has been, so powerful, has also enabled us to open up a campus in India. We are the first country to have 2 campuses in India, and they're functional in GIFT City in Gujarat, and we've just announced the 3rd. So there's a lot happening in that space. That innovation also extends down to schools. We run a program which is called the Study Australia Entrepreneurship Challenge, that is to expose students at the very early stage of their kind of decision-making journey to Australia as a preferred destination. And we see some of the ideas that come up are tackling the problems that you're talking about, whether that's pollution, whether that's grain storage, whether that's energy storage. So I think we should definitely kind of say, and I'm sitting with the panel of experts over here, some of the policies and some of the decisions you're making now, absolutely in the right direction.
I think we should carry this conversation and we can really partner on those challenges. So in morning we launched the challenge in front of the minister to convert, how do we really convert mobile phone into a computer, because in NEP we will be roping this Python training in 5th class, and we don't have the computers. There's a hardly 3% computer penetrations. So while the world is going on the AI, our kids will not be able to really learn even the coding and other stuff. So how we can really convert this mobile phone, so this toilet challenge and other stuff, we can really roll out those challenges. And we need not really pump in a lot of money. People just, they have the ideas, right? And we just need to really motivate. And perhaps the government has to really come up with policy and maybe get over with the obsession of IITs, because eventually they are going to do the PhD and work for Microsoft and Google, right? That's a reality, right? Not against the IITs, right? But IITs has contributed, combined IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, they have produced 10 times more startups than perhaps Ivy Leagues. So I'm in, but I think we need to really build the capability below as well.
I would just like to take that, to give a feedback. Under the ANRF, there is a new call for proposals under the PAIR scheme. It's Partnership for Accelerated Innovation and Research, where some of the IITs are asked to pair with some of the other colleges, including the state universities, the state governments and colleges and the central universities. So this will further help, like Dr. Sahasrabudhe said, we need our people to collaborate. We need all of them to work together. And this is the right platform which ANRF, taking the lead in the, for R&D in the country, is planning to do. We have already identified these shortfalls and these bottlenecks. And that's the reason this call is up. And now the state universities, central universities, and other small, even private colleges can partner with IITs, come up with a solution, come up with a good project on which they can work on.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think when next time we'll meet, you will actually remove the latch of IIT as well, right? And you will open the door for the startups because they need the risk capital. So I met a lot of startups. I myself ran a lot of startups. Beyond a certain point, you can't really fund those innovations because this really cost a lot. So now we can really open questions to audience, right? And I think it's still the minister has given a lot of time to really carry this interesting discussion carry forward. So why not to use it positively? So we can really have questions from audience if anybody want to really have any question. Any question from audience? Yeah, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So I like this, I liked your example of the Singapore 10-year-old 10th class kid, right? So, I think the innovation is really independent of what education you get.
Right.
So in India, we have to really nurture innovation, not by rote learning. And I heard many panelists, and I admire Dr. Sahasrabudhe for his comments. My feeling is that, you should leave it open, like, the software industry which came up in India, it had no regulations.
Right.
And it became a $1 trillion industry now, right? So we need to have innovation not just coming from the schools. I was jury to many smart hackathons which were chaired by the Prime Minister. And I realized that kids coming from rural areas, coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, they are very, very smart. They need direction, they need mentorship, and I think that's what we need to promote.
Very true. So US cannot find the India solutions. Like a boy born in Bombay cannot find the solution for say Chhatarpur.
Yeah,
or maybe Meerut.
and jugaad and frugalism is fine, but we still need funding. So I think we can't deny that we need funding. We need to fund those people who are really smart and innovative. That's the only thing. Thank you.
No, so I just recently saw a documentary, and there is in Kenya, not Kenya, sorry, Ghana. There is a guy, he invented a car, which is not an EV car, right? And he's a 10th fail guy. So innovation can really come from anywhere, right? Elon Musk is running very controversial Dodge from most of the dropouts, right? Let's see how the success is. Any other question
Sir,
from audience?
I have one question, sir.
Yeah, please.
First of all, thank you thanks every one of you very much for this deep discussion. This is a very relevant question. This is a very relevant topic at this era for our country. I just want to, reflect little bit on comparison of why big innovations happens in the European countries or Western and not in our country. My view is that let us say I am an entrepreneur, I start something, I have an idea and I want to make it feasible. And I know the nature of this research, nature of the innovation, that return on investment, the percentage of success is less. 80% you fail, 20%. If you are lucky, 20% you pass. Things go ahead. So the question that you have less resources, you have a future. Now my point is very pragmatic. You have a future, you have something responsibility, the society, family, everything you have to take care. So a lot of things at risk. Now, if you don't secure that risk, how to get that barrier to cross to go in the innovation zone, the mindset. So generally the young people, I'm just saying on my experience because I'm in this field since last 20 years.
I got the signal from Bombino. We have to close the panel, right? You made the point. Thank you so much. Appreciate your point. So give a big hand to all our panelists for such a wonderful panel discussion. Thank you so much, Dr. Habil, Dr. Ekta. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for such a lovely audience, right? I wish we had the more time to really discuss. Thank you so much.